Ooh, this guy's... Oh, this guy... Oh, yeah, this guy knows what's up. This guy knows what's up. Look at him. He was dueling us. That was cool. That was actually really cool. Who is this? Who is this guy? It's a Billman? A Vlandian Billman was actually that powerful? Okay. Well, this may not work out as I intend because there are basically no vassals available for me to call to my army. Hello and welcome back to our Sturgian Viking. And, well, you can see here I literally have only one vassal available, and that is Vilder. Yeah, I'm sure he's very pleased to be called here. However, Simir, as you can quite clearly tell, is on the warpath very heavily indeed, and following a suggestion by one of you in the comments, the brother of our main character here is Nojon, and well, I haven't actually been utilizing him at all, and he has literally just been languishing in the nearest town, well, should we say towns, and doing a number of tournaments, and he has been victorious in pretty much all of them. So what I did was I made him into a party and gave him a whole bunch of units from one of my garrisons, and hopefully he's actually been doing quite nicely. I believe I gave him 180... Did I give 180? No, I gave him 100 and... I think it was 130 or so? Yeah, I think I gave him 130 or 140 units or something like that. And he now has 122, so he hasn't even lost that many. Unfortunately, it appears as though he may have lost quite a lot of cavalry, because I did give him about 15 or so cavalry, and it seems like he's lost most of those, or he just thought they were just terrible and he got rid of them or something. But otherwise, what I've done is I've also enacted a number of policies. Can't exactly tell you which ones, but I do remember that I did peerage, feudal inheritance. Did I do that? Not entirely sure about that. Yeah, I think I did that one. Also did debasement of the currency because I wanted the ruler clan to gain more money, and settlement loyalty is already relatively high, so it's not actually necessary for us to worry about that too much. Sacred Majesty I also did, as well as I believe... I didn't do noble retinues, that was already implemented. And I also did marshals as well, because influence of the ruler clan reducing by 1 per day is basically nothing. That is negligible for Mr. Vidar right here. Anyway, apart from that, you can quite clearly see that the influence levels of all of our clans are pitiful. Absolutely awful. So what I was actually thinking of doing was donating some of my extreme surplus to a couple of these people. So let me actually just see. Samir is actually the leader of this one, and what we're going to do... he's part of this clan. So what we're going to do is I'm literally just going to... Oh, yes, I can actually spam this. Cool. Okay, so let me just spam it, like, super much. There we go. All right, so we've given him 412 now, which is really amazing. Keisha is the only one in that clan, so we don't really need to worry about her too much. Then we can do some... Oh, it's really nice that it actually stickies. It's actually like a sticky target right here. So if you didn't know, way back, you used to click on this, and you used to click on this, the support button, and then it would immediately go back up all the way to the top. But thankfully that's not the case anymore. It seems like they've added a bit of a sort of sticky targeting, as I said, to that, and that really makes a huge difference to how effective this is. Just look at how nice it is just to press the button over and over. Anyway, I did call for Vilder, and hopefully he's going to help us out with this siege. Obviously it is literally only... There's only 30,000 HP on the walls here. I don't really want to go in there manually. That was actually the main reason why I called for Vilder to come and help us. Amusingly enough, there was actually a siege going on here previously, and I thought to myself, oh, they're taking it. That's great. That means I won't need to take it myself. And then a couple of minutes later, I look over here and, well... as you can no doubt tell, nothing much has happened. So it seems to me like they were either defeated or they just gave up or lost interest, and that usually happens with the AI. Alright, so let me actually just catch you up on what has been going on, because if you've taken note of the date down at the bottom there, and maybe you're you know, maybe you've remembered the date from the previous episode. It's been a while. I'm not entirely sure how long, but it has been quite a lot of time. And I've basically just been running around. That's it. Just running around, fighting people. Gonna send my troops in. Gonna have a pretty significant... maybe not even that significant loss. We only lost 81 and I only lost 37. So that's actually not even that bad, considering we've just taken the castle instantly. I know that generally you want to see sieges and I want to go in and actually manually do sieges. Don't get me wrong, I actually enjoy doing sieges. However, the Battanians have shown themselves to be quite a laggy people, and as a result I don't really want to fight them too much because it does result in lower frame rates for the moment until more optimizations come in. Anyway, we're going to do another auto-resolve here as well, and there's a reason why I'm showing you these auto-resolves, because this is a point that I'm trying to make, maybe to improve the game, maybe to provide a suggestion to the developers, or indeed to some mod creator out there that might want to look at this and maybe think, oh, okay, maybe I can fix this. You know, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about here, because, as I say, I've been running around, and I've been doing a lot of running around, and that is a bit problematic, and I'll show you exactly why that is. So let me go over to Cranarog Castle. This is also my castle. I think I'm actually going to take... Should I take Flintall Castle for myself? That's the thing. I don't really want to, personally, because I'd like other people to gain more influence, but I don't know whether that really gives them that much. So I'm going to just give it to Oleg, I guess, and we'll see if he does okay in defending it. It seems to me like most of the fiefs that I take are perfectly fine, and they never really get besieged. Or if they do get besieged, then the defenders are perfectly capable of, you know, actually fighting off any attackers. But as it stands, any AI that takes a fief, it doesn't really work out too well. Anyway, this is what I wanted to show you. There are 54 prisoners in the garrison here. And I also have Garrios, but obviously he's a little bit bugged out at the moment. But anyway, point is, these, it's just too many. In my opinion, I feel like this is just too many. I know that they added a whole bunch of extra vassals and everything like that, and for the most part, I think it's very cool that they've done that, because it adds a lot more variety. You see different people all the time, and there's a lot more. Well, just generally, there's just a lot more to do. There's a lot more, many more enemies around, and Eronix is here. Oh, he's actually running from me? No, he's not running from me. He's trying to raid something. Oh, well, never mind. Anyway, Flintall Castle's actually been under siege. Oh, okay. I guess I'm going to be going over there as soon as I possibly can, and maybe trying to murder whoever it is. Oh, hello, Aldrich. Okay, do you really want to continue this, sir? He might, actually. He does have some pretty decent units. Nothing too bad. Okay, so we're just going to wait around here a little bit. And, yep, okay, he gave up. That's what I'm talking about. You can literally just stand next to them and then they'll just give up eventually. I am actually going to try and hunt him down after this, but I do need to restore myself just a little bit. But basically what I wanted to say is, I think the addition of vassals is cool. However, I think... because the game generally has a lot of customization to what you want in it, you know, so for example, you know, I know that this is a mod, of course, but Bannerlord Tweaks allows you to pretty much customize your experience however you so desire. And I think, personally, that should be in the base game itself, because being able to customize your experience, especially in an open world RPG such as this, with obviously quite a bit of sandbox elements to it as well, would be preferable to not having those options. And I know, yes, okay, the developers have a vision and they want to realize that vision and so on, and that is perfectly acceptable to me. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But I think having the option to have like a custom game, shall we say, like a custom series of settings would be very cool. Because, for example, let's say that you can choose how many vassals are on each faction. And at the moment, I'm perfectly happy with having a lot of vassals running around and doing all kinds of things, because it does add a lot more life to the game world. However, the problem with this is that there are so many that they generally tend to bloat the game world at the same time, which is actually kind of... it's kind of difficult, really. It's kind of difficult. I'm actually not wanting to fight this guy just yet. I'd like to wait until these guys get in here. There we go. All right, let's do this. We're going to go in and fight these guys. Maybe we can actually take out a couple and maybe even get them killed, because obviously death is still enabled. But that's what I'm saying. Just any kind of custom settings that would allow us to choose any number of things. Maybe maybe have some settings that allow people to... I don't know, that allow maybe factions not to use their high-tier units, because I think that would be very interesting. Because imagine a game of Bannerlord where, or should we say a campaign of Bannerlord, where you go in and your maximum tier of unit that you can get is 3. Let's say that you halve it and you take it down to tier 3, and you can only use tier 3 units. Everyone's running around with basically peasant armies. And let's say that you reduce the amount of money that you're capable of making from, you know, a number of different sources, and then it scales to the wages that you're getting, obviously, because if you are going to indeed change, you know, the tier of unit that you're going to be able to acquire, then obviously you want to change the amount of money generated as well. Otherwise, it's just going to be a case of running around with millions upon millions of gold and nothing to spend it on, obviously. So that's something to consider too. You know, just generally, I feel like having a huge amount of customization options would definitely add to the replayability of the game as well. And that's exactly the reason why I am such a big fan of modding a game like this, because it adds so much replayability. And if you like the game, why wouldn't you play it more? Why wouldn't you want to play it more with different settings, with different difficulties, with different environments and units and all kinds of different game mechanics as well? So, you know, I'm just saying, I feel like that would be a really cool thing. And as it stands right now, with the current situation, with a lot of units, I feel like they should literally just go reduce each faction's vassals by 50%. Maybe that's a bit too harsh. Maybe that's a bit too harsh, 50%. But yeah, I'm thinking something along those lines at least. And I don't particularly mind if they only remove like 20% or so, but I feel at the moment that all I have really been doing is literally just running around and fighting vassals for the past, I don't even know how long I've been playing, to be honest, today, but I've been playing a long time. And it's kind of weird, because when I'm running around and I'm doing off-screen progression and stuff like that, I'm not actually looking to do anything exciting, obviously, because I like to save that for the episode. So generally things like large battles, sieges, interesting little, you know, situations that I might get myself into, those are the kinds of things that I'd like to show you. However, in my time off-screen, I basically came across none of that, and the only thing that I came across were huge amounts of vassals coming out of nowhere with about 100 to 150 units, maybe less than that. You know, sometimes they had about 70 or so, but generally they had a lot of units almost instantaneously, because of course we're running around with a very high campaign AI setting, which is absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with that. However, what I do have a problem with is the millionaire mindset that a lot of these vassals seem to have. And that's a bit of a problem, because I have captured a number of vassals, and I've even attempted to persuade a couple of them, all right? Now, persuading, in my opinion, is a very cool mechanic. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I have tried to do it. However, it never really works from this version. 1.5.2, I haven't had the ability to persuade pretty much anyone. I think I've gotten one person. Yeah, I think I was able to persuade one person so far, which I think is kind of a travesty, to be honest. I feel like when we have such a high charm skill, I think we have, how much do we have? 150 or something like that? I'm not entirely sure. I know that we did level up, so we probably want to take a look at that in just a second. But basically what I wanted to say is, if you have such a high charm skill, yeah, we've got 150, which is not even that high, to be honest. If we had 250 or something like that, then I would probably say, yeah, you know, it's probably not very not very good that we haven't been able to persuade anyone, but every single person that I've spoken to so far requires me to give them some additional incentive. And these are factions that have about 3,000 combat strength, not entirely sure what additional incentive they need to join the, well, by all intents and purposes, to join the most powerful faction in the game right now, which is, of course, the Sturgians. So it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird, isn't it? It is a bit weird because it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. When no shields and ranged weapons are wielded, gain 10% faster movement? Yes, I will take that. Thank you very much. That sounds like a really fun skill indeed. All right, so otherwise I'm going to be going for additional charm skill, even though that does nothing. As you can see, I increased the focus points and it literally does nothing at all. Yeah, well, never mind. Anyway, as I was saying, when I attempted to persuade a number of these vassals, they obviously wanted some coercing, which is, you know, to be expected. I don't really mind that. However, they wanted about 600,000 gold, 700,000 gold, and maybe even more in some cases. And this is just ludicrous. I feel like that it is just way too much, and I think that needs to be looked at a little bit. Because now here's the thing. The reason why they want so much is because of scaling, and the scaling of the amount of money that they have in their inventories. They have almost 1 million gold in all of their inventories that I've spoken to so far. There was a guy that had about 927,000 or something like that, and he wanted, I think, 700,000 or something to join us. And obviously, I don't have that much money. I don't have that much money at all. It is... I mean, I don't have 700,000. I do have a decent amount of cash because obviously I have to pay for all of my wages. I have to pay for my caravans. I have to pay, you know, all kinds of different things. And I'm doing all right, but obviously only because of the amount of loot that I'm able to gain from battles. And that's the main money-making source that I have at the moment. But these vassals are gaining money at such an exponential rate that it's very difficult, if nigh impossible, to persuade more than one or any at all, actually, to join us. So let's actually just test this out real quick. I think Sylvan can actually join us, can't she? Wait a minute. No, Calatil is actually the leader. Now it's grinding my gears. Now it's grinding my gears. Okay, so we're going to go in here. This is 292 versus 601. I'm actually looking forward to this. This is also one of my favorite battlefields, so I should be okay here. And let me actually just see. I want to see if... Ooh, yeah, I can see... I think I can noticeably... Look at how fast she's moving! Yes, it's because of that new athletics ability that we just acquired. That's pretty cool. All right. Anyway, as I'm saying, I feel like a couple of things need to be done with the vassals to make the game a little bit more balanced in that regard, because they have too much money. That's number one. And they also have... there's also too many of them. There's also too many, because now here's the thing. There's a lot of vassals. They run around, they raid villages, and they attack caravans, and they attack villages and all that stuff. And these small parties, you pretty much can't catch them if you have a large army, which is obviously to be expected, you know. That I'm not complaining about that. That's obviously just how the game is, you know. If someone has a smaller party, then of course they're going to be faster. It just makes the most sense. However, it is very tedious for the player to have to deal with these interlopers, and that's absolutely fine. I don't have a problem, again, with the AI attempting to fight back economically. However, there is no way, from a gameplay standpoint, that the player will pretty much ever be able to beat the AI in an economic way because of all these millionaire vassals. And obviously they're not technically millionaires, but some of them do have over 1 million gold. But I'm just saying, it very much restricts the amount of options that you have in the game, and pretty much just goes, okay, so what can we do? They have a lot of money. All right. So that means they have almost infinite army capacity. So they can pretty much just be like, okay, I've been defeated. I lost 350 units or something like that. And now I'm back about 5 minutes later with a similar strength force. Just purely for the fact that they have so much money that they're able to do that. They can literally go to a nearby garrison and they can pull out a bunch of relatively high tier units. And they also will, of course, take a bunch of volunteers as well. I mean, I'm not saying that they're cheating in that respect, but I'm saying that it's very, very harsh to grind them down, if you know what I mean. Because if they have so much money, it's very difficult to defeat their army again and again and again. Because I have actually seen one vassal in particular. He has escaped from my... I'm actually just going to tell these guys to charge in. They have two-handed axes. They should really just go to town on these guys. Anyway, I have seen one guy in particular escape from my prisoner holds. I'm not entirely sure who it is now. I think it's... is it Aldrich himself? I'm actually not sure. Ooh, this guy's... Oh, this guy... Oh, yeah, this guy knows what's up. This guy knows what's up. Look at him. He was dueling us. That was cool. That was actually really cool. Who is this? Who is this guy? It's a Billman? A Vlandian Billman was actually that powerful? Okay. Might have to get myself some of those in a future playthrough or something like that. They seem pretty fun. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, take that, Vlandian sharpshooter. See, now these are the kinds of moments that I really love in the game. These kinds of moments where we're actually able to get into a fight, not get killed instantly, because let's face it, some of the time that is my own decision-making being flawed, and other times it's literally just because the AI is so incredibly laser-pointed sometimes with their javelins to the face. But, yeah. Anyway, so I think it's Aldrich, I'm not entirely sure, but I've defeated him so many times now, and every single time he's able to either call for an additional army in a day, an in-game day, and then literally turn up with about 500 units, which is of course due to, you know, the various other vassals that he has around him. But I actually shadowed him for a little bit of time just to see what kinds of units he had in his own army when his army eventually expired due to cohesion. And he had about 200. And I was thinking to myself, okay, how does he have 200 after just a day and a half? Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It feels to me like they just have too much. Did we kill some of them? I think we might have. Sylvant has died. And Atalon. Fantastic. Yes. Perfect. Okay, that is great. Very nice to see that indeed. I am extremely pleased. And we probably shouldn't be... Should we really be... overtly celebrating our opponent's death? Yeah, I guess why not? I mean, you know, they're probably they're probably pleased to be out of the meat grinder, because that's basically what it is for them. They're literally just dying, coming back, dying, coming back. What is this? Rinse and repeat? Yeah, probably. Anyway, these guys are actually running away now from me, but I'm not going to let them do that. Is Erderand actually the leader of his? No, never mind, he's not the leader, so I will just be fighting him then. Just a nice auto-resolve, instant victory right there. And we'll take these guys prisoner. I've taken Erderand prisoner about twice now as well, so that's also something to bear in mind. It's very funny. It is extremely funny. But yes, anyway. Apart from the fact that these guys are able to construct their armies so incredibly fast, which is absolutely fine, of course. I don't have a problem with this. It's just they have so much money that it's impossible to be able to persuade them to join you. And, well, again, there are going to be those vassals that want a huge amount of, well, compensation, I suppose. But it just seems a little bit too much. I feel like the scaling is too much. I feel like you're not able to gain enough money to be able to even get one of them. And that's bringing me to the next point. The next point I'm trying to make is the amount of money that you get for defeating these vassals. And if you defeat a vassal that doesn't have any money, which is quite common with the minor vassals, that is. But if you defeat someone like Aldrich, for example, or someone that has a massive amount of cash due to their land holdings, then they're always going to give you 10,000, which is, again, absolutely fine. 10,000's a great number. However, when you're defeating a massive army of about 500 to 600 units, and it depletes your army somewhat, you know, I mean, obviously right now I'm actually running around with a pretty, basically this is my strongest army to date at the moment. But if I wasn't running around with this, and I lost half of my units to the Grim Reaper in a brutal conflict with Mr. Aldrich, then I'd be kind of saddened by the fact that I only gained 10,000 as a result of this, because all those units that I lost, they're much more expensive than just 10,000. To train them up, the time investment, the effort, and so on, definitely was much more than 10,000. So obviously that would be, you know, just not enough to really give you the feeling like you have been rewarded for your efforts. Obviously, there are a number of other reasons why you want to defeat that army. Of course, you want to try to, you know, damage the opponent's combat strength. You want to reduce the amount of control that they have in the area, and in general to give your own vassals, if you're a part of a faction, that is, a little bit of breathing space. And that really makes a huge difference. But you can see here, look at that. This guy only has, what is it now? 513,000. And he wants about 1.2 million. Maybe, probably more than that, actually. He wants 1.3 million. And the main problem that I'm seeing here is not the fact that I can't persuade him, because there definitely should be those vassals that are harder to persuade than others. But every single person I've spoken to does not join me. And I think that they're probably still working on the persuasion system. But you can see here, for example, if I wanted to release all of these guys, this is basically not going to do anything. Obviously. It's just not going to do anything, because this guy doesn't care about these vassals. But you saw he had 539,000 or something like that, and he gave me 10,000. Right. What does that do to him? What does that do to him? So let's say you have $100 if you're American, or a country that uses dollars. Let's say you have $100 in your pocket, and you lose, I don't know, let's see, and you lose like $1 from that. You're going to be like, okay, I lost $1. All right. I still got 99, that you can still do something with that, and I think that that's the problem. It is a flat value with the amount of money that these vassals lose. I feel like it should be a percentage of their wealth, whatever it may be. So every single time you attack them, if they have a huge amount of cash, and I'm talking about, 539,000 or something like that. Yeah, if they have 539,000, and let's just say that they make it, I don't know, 20% or 10% even, then you're going to be getting what, 53,000? Yeah, something like that. If it's 10%, you're going to get 53,000 from that guy, and that's actually going to be a bit more significant in the amount of economic damage you've done to that vassal. Although, again, it is still basically like someone with $100 losing $5 or losing $10, and still they have $90 left over, you know what I mean? So it's still not really going to fix things in that regard. People are still going to be running around with hundreds of thousands of gold, and it's still going to make things a little bit imbalanced to the overall balance of the economy and how the vassals actually work. However, if you make it too much, then again, the player is just going to be running around with too much money. As you can see right here, this guy wants about 500,000 or something like that, and he has 124,000. So yeah, this is much, much better in regards to how much he actually has. However, if this was 1.2 million, he'd basically take all of this, and the bar would be like around here or something like that. But let's actually just take a look and see if releasing any of these people makes any difference. No, it does not. Of course not. Yeah, so again, are we going to get 10,000 for this? No, look at that. We only gained 6,200, even though he has 124,000 gold. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that, because to me, as far as I'm aware, as long as a vassal has more than 10,000 gold, you're going to be getting 10,000 gold. So it must not be a flat value of 10,000. It must be a percentage of some kind. And I'm not entirely sure what that percentage is, because it must be capped. It must the actual percentage must be capped in some way, which is actually kind of interesting. Okay, well, you know, you learn something new every day, I guess. Anyway, we're actually going to be attacking this Vlandian army right here, and we'll see what we can do. But let me know your thoughts, by the way, on all of what I have mentioned in this episode, because I just wanted to take a moment to pretty much just discuss it with you, because I like to hear your thoughts as well, because maybe I haven't thought of something, you know? Maybe I haven't thought of something, maybe, you know, my many hours with the game so far have not shown me exactly the kind of thing that I'm wanting to touch upon here. And as a result, maybe someone else has, you know, a nice light that they can shine on what I've said, and maybe, you know, maybe you're going to have a valid point to add to my inane ramblings. But yeah, that's the point. You know, the reason why I have these discussions with you, right? It's because I want the best for the game. You know, I want the game to turn out the greatest possible experience for everyone that it possibly can be. And well, it's already a lot of fun. That's what I'm saying. It's already a huge amount of fun. I just want to see it become even better. And that's the reason why I have these conversations with you, even though it is literally just me speaking in my relatively padded room. Because I'm a crazy person. Yeah, understand. Yeah, okay, yeah, never mind. Yes, okay, so these guys are actually going to get murdered. I mean, I'm not talking about the enemy. My guys are going to get murdered unless they get their shields out. And it seems like some of them are getting their shields out. This is actually hilarious, though. I've got to say that. This is actually really, really bad. I don't know whether you've noticed exactly the reason why that is, but we're dealing with horse archers. And can you believe that someone actually said to me recently on the original series of Bannerlord, when I was talking about horse archers being some of the most powerful, and that was actually a while ago, obviously. That was quite a significant time ago. So my opinion may have changed since that time, but it hasn't, because I personally still feel like horse archers are very, very powerful, and maybe the most powerful unit in the game. However, I got a comment from someone that said, what was it now? It was like something like, horse archers are not that powerful. You can defeat them easily. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, just take my army right here, right? Take my army right here. How many units do I actually have? I have 192 on the battlefield right now, and the enemy has 274. Obviously, he outnumbers us significantly because his majority army, his total number of units, are significantly larger than what we have. Now, let's just say that this guy was completely Khuzait. So let's say that he had 274 cavalry units, and let's say that 50% of those were horse archers. That means he's going to have 135 or so horse archers, and let's say 50% of those are going to be noble units, really, really high tier noble units. So that's about what? 60, 70 units of elite noble units with 260 in bows and crazy amounts of riding skill and mobility and all that stuff. And I can't touch them. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I cannot touch these horse archers with this army that I have right now. My army composition is flawed in comparison to the opponents. I can't do anything to them. Obviously, someone's going to say, well, then just get some cavalry or get some ranged. Did I just get knocked down? That was hilarious. Okay, I've never had that happen before. That was cool. Okay, I like that. Very nice indeed. Anyway, yes. So someone's going to say, just get some ranged units, just get some cavalry. And yeah, okay, I could definitely do that. However, the Sturgians, I have found, are much better by focusing on getting headshot, apparently. Yeah, well, this is not going to go well now, is it? But yes, that's the point. The Sturgians are okay when they have their skirmisher cavalry and stuff like that, but in general, they are going to be much better using infantry than not, in my opinion. I feel like they are much better as infantry than pretty much anything else, but that is obviously my own opinion. Maybe you have a different one, and that's all very well and good. However, I still hold the belief that horse archers are untouchable if you have an army of infantry. And of course, that's the way it should be, obviously. That is the way it should be. However, I still feel like horse archers have a lot of power, and I feel like they are quite significantly better than pretty much any unit you're going to use in a battle. Because they have so much mobility, and they have a lot of damage as well. And even if you have a whole army of crossbowmen, for example. Yes, okay, those crossbowmen are definitely going to be effective. They're definitely going to be effective. However, I fought those, you know, in the Crusade Khanate series, which, by all intents and purposes, I basically joined the Crusade, and then I branched off around episode 20 to create my own faction, and then for the remainder of the series, I had my own faction and, you know, went to conquer the entirety of Calradia, so that was a lot of fun. But I have fought those kinds of armies where they have a huge amount of crossbowmen. I think I remember fighting a whole bunch of Vlandians that had, you know, 30, 40, 50 Vlandian sharpshooters. And you know how many units I lost in that fight? Probably about 5. So I'm just saying, horse archers are still, in my opinion, the MVP of the game. I feel like they are very good. They are very good at what they do. And that's not to say they're unbeatable, obviously. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they are very powerful. And I think we can pretty much just say that every single unit has its own place in the game. And, well, maybe with the exception of the Sturgians for the most part, because the Sturgians, we know how somewhat sketchy they can be sometimes. Sometimes they're not very effective in the least. Oh yeah, by the way, I actually did attempt to do a little siege at Remtoil Castle in my off-screen time, and I basically almost got defeated. Yeah, can you imagine that? Yeah. I built my battering ram and my siege towers, and I called for an army. I had about 600 units. We went in for an auto-resolve, and I literally ended up with about 10 units remaining. I know. About 200 of those were wounded, of course, because, you know, we obviously have a pretty significant medicine skill at the moment. But generally, we've got to be a bit careful. We've got to be a bit careful about those auto-resolves. Anyway, this is what's currently happening with the map. I haven't shown you the map in a while. Not much. Not much has actually changed. And I got to say, that's a bit weird, because if you take a look at the diplomacy here, the Aserai have lost combat strength. The Botanians are basically limping along right now. They have 2,600. The Vlandians have 4,800, still doing relatively well for them. The Western Empire is almost down where Botania is. The Northern Empire is okay, not doing too badly, but look at how much tribute we've received from the Northern Empire. It's insane. And otherwise, ooh, the Crusade. Again, the Crusade are proving themselves to be pretty much the only faction that is going to be lasting until the end, potentially. We'll see what happens. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, then by all means leave a like. And otherwise, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.